From New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Ukraine continues to make incursions into Russia, claims to destroy a second bridge in Kursk region. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaches Israel to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal. The Hamas accuses Israel of undermining his efforts. US Vice President Kamala Harris to officially accept her nomination as Democratic Party's presidential candidate at a convention that begins on Monday. And South China Sea tensions escalate. Beijing claims that a Philippine ship deliberately collided with a Chinese vessel. News in detail now. Ukrainian Air Force claimed to have destroyed another strategic bridge over the same river in Russia's Kursk region. This has limited the supply capacity of a Russian group opposing the Ukrainian advance. A video was posted on social media showing a growing cloud from an explosion on a bridge and one of its sections destroyed. Kiev said it had seized more than 80 settlements in Kursk since launching a surprise strike across the border on August 6th. The bridge is the second attack by Ukraine since Friday. Earlier, military analysts said there were 3 bridges in the area of Ukrainian army's offensive through which Russia supplies its forces, and that 2 of them have been either destroyed or seriously damaged. And as fierce battle between Russia and Ukraine continues, Russia recaptures some of its own territory and some parts of Ukraine. Russian Ministry of Defense said it has taken under its control the settlement of Severodonivka in eastern Donetsk region. Meanwhile, officials in Russia say Ukraine is threatening the security of a nuclear power plant. DD India's Dasha Charnishova is in Moscow with more.
Evacuation is ongoing in Russia's Kursk region. More than 1,700 people have been evacuated from the border areas, according to Russia's emergencies ministry. Authorities in the Korneevsky district of the Kursk region say the situation there remains difficult and warn the residents against returning back home. Russian Ministry of Defense said it continued to attack the Ukrainian positions in the Kursk region and in Ukraine's Sumy region. In Belgrade, authorities say several districts have been attacked by Ukraine, resulting in wounds among the civilian population. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Sunday that the threat to the security of such facilities as the Zaporizhia and now the Kursk nuclear power plants is created exclusively by the actions of the Ukrainian armed forces. In the meantime, the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, said on Sunday that Ukraine had stationed more than 120,000 troops at its border with Belarus, and Minsk had deployed nearly a third of its armed forces along the entire border. Lukashenko said the Belarusian-Ukrainian border is as mined as never before, and that Ukrainian troops would incur huge losses if they decide to cross it. Lukashenko said that Kyiv had formed powerful forces with the participation of mercenaries, including from Poland, to attack Russia's Kursk region. He also said that Kyiv's incursion is an attempt to provoke Moscow to use nuclear weapons. Dasha Charnishova in Moscow, reporting for DD India.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin reaches Azerbaijan's capital Baku on Sunday for a 2-day visit. He was greeted by Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev. Putin is expected to hold talks with Aliyev on bilateral relations and international and regional problems on Monday. This marks Putin's first trip to Caucasus nation since 2018 and occurs as Russia aims to reassert its role as a mediator between Azerbaijan and its adversary Armenia. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is once again in Israel as negotiations continue to secure a ceasefire in Gaza as well as the release of Israeli hostages captured by Hamas. The US top diplomat is slated to meet with Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, on Monday. Jagrati Dave has the details.
This latest trip is Secretary Blinken's 9th visit to the Middle East since the start of the war, which was triggered by Hamas's October 7th attack in southern Israel. And it comes at what a senior department official described as a critical time. Negotiations have been ongoing for months, mediated by Qatar, Egypt and the United States. But gaps remain between the two warring sides on issues including who has control of Gaza, and that's prevented them from reaching an agreement. There are fears the conflict could spiral into a wider regional war. The Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah has been exchanging attacks with Israel to show solidarity with Hamas, and Iran has blamed Israel for last month's assassination of Hamas's political leader in Tehran, vowing retaliation. But also front and centre is concern for the fate of Palestinians in Gaza as Israel continues its military operations there. At least 21 people, including 6 children, were killed in an airstrike on Sunday, according to Gaza's health ministry. Jagrati Dave in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And Sudan is sending a delegation to Cairo for discussions with US and Egyptian officials on Monday. It will keep open the question of participation in peace talks aimed at ending a 16-month war. The government, which is controlled by the army, is fighting the paramilitary rapid support forces for control of the country. Government said it would not attend the peace talks in Switzerland unless a previous agreement struck in Jeddah is implemented. The US-led talks aim to end the devastating war that broke out in April 2023 and address the crippling humanitarian crisis that has left half of Sudan's population of 50 million facing food insecurity. The army on Thursday preempted a key topic of the talks when it said it would allow an RSF-controlled border crossing into Darfur to be used for aid deliveries. And tension escalates in South China Sea. China's Coast Guard said a Philippine vessel that had ignored its repeated warnings deliberately collided with a Chinese vessel in an unprofessional and dangerous manner. In a statement issued on Monday, China's Maritime Security said the same Philippine vessel then entered waters near 2nd Thomas Shoal after being prevented from entering Sabina Shoal waters. China's Coast Guard said it took control measures against the Philippine ship in accordance with law and warned the Philippines to immediately stop infringement and provocation or bear all consequences. And China and Philippines reached a provisional agreement in July after repeated altercations near the 2nd Thomas Shoal. China has been sharply criticized by Western nations for aggression in blocking Philippine efforts to resupply troops aboard a Navy ship it intentionally grounded 25 years ago. Beijing claims almost all of the South China Sea, including both shoals, rejecting a 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague that Beijing's expansive claims had no basis under international law. DD India's William Denslow gets us more on this.
Well, the incident, according to Chinese officials, occurred around 3:30 on Monday morning. We've heard a statement released by Gan Yu, a spokesperson for China's Coast Guard, who said it was an illegal incursion, adding that it violated previous agreements in place between Manila and Beijing. And there has been really an escalating war of words between the two sides in recent days, and this certainly the most significant action we've seen in recent days, with China accusing the Philippine Coast Guard vessel of deliberately ramming a Chinese Coast Guard and for allegedly ignoring warnings. We're still waiting to hear from Manila in response to this incident, but important to note that this comes just a few days after China's foreign ministry stated on Friday that any provocations, any deemed provocations in the South China Sea, hotly contested between Beijing and Manila, would be met with strong and resolute measures. This has been a long-standing dispute, not just between the Philippines and China, but a number of nations in the region. The Spratly Archipelago and these particular shoals fall within the Philippine economic zone, 200 nautical miles off the coast of the Philippines. So the Philippines very much claims ownership of this particular shoal in the South China Sea. China claims control of much or most of the South China Sea for itself. So that is why there is this long-standing dispute. The Court of Arbitration ruling against Beijing back in 2016. That was a ruling that was rejected by China. So these disputes very much remain. And why we're seeing this escalation now? Well, a major reason, according to analysts, is because of Philippine efforts to resupply this grounded Navy ship that's been there for around 25 years, but of course needs constant supplies. This has been an issue that has been a constant source of tension. It certainly irks Beijing, so perhaps a major reason why we're seeing this escalation in what has been a long-going, bubbling source of tension.
And delving deep into maritime traffic management, inspecting passing vessels and testing emergency rescue plans, China's Maritime Safety Administration undertook a 30-hour maritime patrol in Taiwan Strait over the weekend to maintain navigation order and ensure maritime safety. Over the course of 430 nautical miles, the fleet targeted high-risk zones where commercial and fishing vessels often collide and accidents are prone to occur, cracked down on maritime violations, enforced strict navigation order and ensure the safety of this vital waterway. The Taiwan Strait is a critical lifeline for China's coastal trade, with a daily parade of diverse vessels navigating its treacherous waters. And marking the end of 3.5-month-long summer fishing ban, China on Friday lifted a summer fishing ban at waters in South China Sea and East China Sea. So South Korea and United States kicked off annual summertime military exercises on Monday, seeking to boost their joint readiness to fend off North Korea's weapons and cyber threats. The Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises, set to end on August 29, come as North Korea races to advance its nuclear and missile programs and tries to launch reconnaissance satellites. The drills will reflect realistic threats across all domains, including North's missile threats, but also GPS jamming, cyber attacks and other lessons learned from recent incidents, the two countries' militaries have said. South Korea will separately carry out the simultaneous government-led Ulchi civil defense drills under the scenario of a nuclear attack by the North. Seoul and Washington say the exercises are defensive and a response to the North's threats. All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Countries on the African continent are ramping up measures to contain the spread of the Mpox virus. Oil spill reported off Venezuela's Caribbean coast. And Ernesto becomes a hurricane again, causing dangerous currents on beaches along the eastern coast of the US.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. The U.S. Democratic Party's convention will kick off in the city of Chicago on Monday. United States Vice President Kamala Harris has also arrived in the state ahead of the Democratic National Convention. Thousands of politicians, delegates and speakers are enthusiastic about officially nominating Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to lead their party in November election. Earlier this month, she secured enough pledged delegates to become the Democratic Party's nominee and is slated to officially accept the nomination at the convention. Harris joined the presidential race nearly a month ago after President Joe Biden exited the race and endorsed her on July 21st. The main part of the convention will take place at the United Center, home to two professional sports teams in the city, the Chicago Bulls and Chicago Blackhawks, and has a capacity of more than 20,000. Kamala Harris will address the convention on Thursday. And Donald Trump is looking past the convention to September 10 debate against Harris while preparing by enlisting the help of former Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Gabbard successfully dominated Kamala Harris on the debate stage in 2020. And Harris' ascent to the Democratic nomination has been nothing but a surprise after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. The four-day event will be like a party inside the convention hall. As DNC prepares for the official nomination of Harris, here are the things we need to know. All right, so what is the convention? The two major U.S. political parties hold a convention each presidential election cycle to officially nominate their candidates and adopt a party platform. Democrats already officially nominated Harris last month in a virtual vote of delegates due to concerns about ballot access in states with early deadlines. So, convention will run from August 19 to 22nd in Chicago's United Center. Public speeches and main stage events will run from around 2200 to 3 GMT each night, and primetime events will be broadcast on all major networks, streaming services and various news websites. And Biden will kick off the convention on Monday night with a keynote speech, and former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton will have marquee speaking slots as well, and former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton also to speak. So Monday to focus on Biden, on administration's policy accomplishments. Tuesday will contrast Trump and Harris' visions for America. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Harris' running mate, will introduce himself to Americans on Wednesday night. And Thursday's program highlighted by Harris' acceptance speech titled For Our Future. And U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris embarked on a campaign trip across western Pennsylvania on Sunday, meeting the locals and calling to achieve a ceasefire deal for Gaza. Diplomatic efforts to halt the Israel-Hamas conflict and secure a deal to return hostages held in Gaza have intensified in recent days. Talks mediated by the U.S., Egypt and Qatar are set to continue this week in Cairo. Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz visited with locals in Moon Township, Aliquippa and Karopolis after holding a rally in Pittsburgh. The Pennsylvania tour takes place with just 79 days left until the election.
Are ongoing, and we are not giving up, and we are going to continue to work very hard on this. We got to get a ceasefire, and we got to get those hostages out.
And currently, the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris indirectly criticized former President Donald Trump on Sunday, suggesting her opponent in November 5th election was a coward whose politics focused on putting down the rivals. The remarks came in a campaign appearance as she toured the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania. Take a listen.
What we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. That's what strength looks like. Anybody who's about beating down other people is a coward.
And with the current political upheaval and unrest in South Asian country of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh diaspora was seen on the streets of New York carrying large banners. The Bangladeshi community in New York City carried out a rally against the atrocities on the Hindu community taking place in Bangladesh. Now, Sudan has been struck by a cholera outbreak that has killed nearly 24 people and sickened hundreds more in recent weeks. Health Minister Haitham Mohammed Ibrahim said on Sunday that at least 22 people have died from the disease and that at least 354 confirmed cases of cholera have been detected across the war-torn country in recent weeks. The humanitarian crisis from the civil war in Sudan is exacerbating infections including cholera and the bacterial disease. The dengue fever and meningitis infections were also on the rise. Global monitors say that across the country, half the population of about 50 million face food insecurity. And African countries affected by the monkeypox virus are ramping up the measures to ensure the virus is contained. The virus has so far spread to at least 13 countries on the continent, and World Health Organization warns of a potential to spread even further. Sweden and Pakistan have also reported cases, with the EU announcing a travel advisory to the affected countries. DD India's Isabel Nakheria has more on this report.
In response to the outbreak, affected countries in Africa have created incident management teams to step up preventive measures. Teams have been deployed at borders and at the airports to carry out testing and detection, contact tracing, and increasing awareness to ensure compliance. Isolation units have also been set up at the borders where suspected cases are monitored as samples are taken for testing. Now, the World Health Organization says it's releasing $1.5 million in the coming days to respond to the emergency. The WHO is also speeding up the process of listing the vaccines available for emergency use. Countries in the global north have been urged to donate stockpiles of smallpox vaccines, which can also be used for monkeypox. Isabel Nakheria in Kampala reporting for DD India.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been continuously monitoring the monkeypox or Mpox situation in the country in the wake of the outbreak of the disease prominently in Africa. As advised by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal Secretary to Prime Minister, chaired a high-level meeting to review the status of preparedness for Mpox in the country. It may be noted that the World Health Organization has again declared Mpox as public health emergency of international concern on 14 August 2024 in view of its prevalence and spread across many parts of Africa. The high-level meeting was briefed that as of now, there is no reported case of Mpox in the country. As per the present assessment, the risk of a large outbreak with sustained transmission is low. Principal Secretary to Prime Minister Dr. P.K. Mishra directed that surveillance be enhanced and effective measures be taken for prompt detection of cases. He further directed that a testing laboratories network should be geared up for early diagnosis. Presently, 32 labs are equipped for testing. An awareness campaign will be taken up regarding preventive public health measures against the disease. Now, Indonesian President Joko Widodo will name some new ministers, including for energy and investment, in a reorganization of his cabinet on Monday. Jokowi will leave office in October, replaced by President-elect and his Defence Minister Prabowo Subianto, who won the election in February. Presidential Palace officials said 3 new ministers would be named on Monday, along with new heads of some government agencies. Local media reported current Investment Minister Bahlil Lahadalia would become Energy Minister. He would be replaced in his current portfolio by Rosan Roslani, a former ambassador to the United States who was the head of Prabowo's election campaign. Reports also say one of the agency chiefs expected to be appointed on Monday is Dadan Hidyana, a professor at Bogor Agriculture University, has head the new National Nutrition Agency that will implement Prabhu's flagship policy to give healthy meals to more than 80 million school children. All right, weather updates now. Ernesto regained hurricane strength on Sunday that caused dangerous high tides on beaches along the US East Coast and Canada. The additional intensification is expected over the next 12 hours. Hurricane Ernesto was last tracked with 815 miles away from Canada, moving with wind speed of 120 kilometers per hour. The center of Ernesto will pass near southeastern Newfoundland late Monday into Tuesday morning, which could bring windy sea waves and rain. Ernesto is the fifth named Atlantic storm of what is expected to be an intense hurricane season. Turkish firefighters and volunteers battled blaze that broke out in the country's southwest. The firefighting efforts continued through Sunday night. Two large fires that had been continuing since late on Thursday, one in the western province of Izmir and the other in the northern province of Bolu, were contained earlier on Sunday. Turkish authorities warned of a high risk of further wildfires in northern and western Turkey for the next couple of days due to high temperatures, low humidity and strong winds. And hundreds of Portuguese firefighters scrambled to put out a wildfire sweeping parts of Atlantic island of Madeira's south coast. Nearly 200 firefighters are tackling the fire, but high temperatures, low humidity and strong winds are complicating efforts to combat the flames. A helicopter also battled the blaze but had to stop operating as the night set in. The entire coastline of Madeira, home of around 100,000 people, has been placed on orange alert. The sky gazers will be in for a treat as they will get to see a supermoon, one of the largest and brightest moons of 2024, on Monday. A supermoon is called so because the moon appears significantly large in the sky since it is the closest to Earth at a time when it is full. The combination of a supermoon and a blue moon, which only occurs a few times per few decades, will make for a highly uncommon astronomical event. As tributes for French film legend Alain Delon poured in from the film fans around the globe following his death at 88, France was preparing the farewell to one of its greatest stars on Monday. Emotional mourners gathered outside the countryside chateau in Douchy, Montcarbon, south of Paris. No national tribute has been planned as Delon made it clear he did not want one. He said he wanted to be buried near his docks on his property in Douchy in central France, where he died. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. An oil spill appeared off Venezuela's Caribbean coast has contaminated a bay of the country's north-central coast in Caribbean Sea. The spill poses a constant threat to marine life in the area with the potential to severely impact the ecosystem of the sea. Efforts to contain the spill are underway, but the extent of the damage to aquatic life remains a pressing concern. The environmental disaster highlights the ongoing risk associated with oil extraction and transportation in vulnerable coastal regions. Now, Poland has taken steps to contain the spread of toxic golden algae in river Oder's tributary system to prevent a repeat of pollution crisis that had hit the waterway in 2022. The toxic algae have already caused the deaths of 77 tons of fish, signaling the severity of the current situation. In response, the Polish authorities have taken decisive action, including the use of hydrogen peroxide to reduce algae levels of over 90%. And wreckage of a 110-year-old ship believed to be found off Scottish coast. The wreckage was found by the Lost in Waters Deep Group, which searches for shipwrecks to remember wartime losses in Scottish waters. More than 500 of the ship's crew died when it was attacked by a German U-boat in October 1914. The ship caught fire and following an explosion sank in less than 8 minutes, with just 70 sailors surviving. And the leader of Russia's Chechnya region, Ramzan Kadyrov, gets a Tesla Cybertruck with a machine gun mounted on top. saying he will send it to the Ukraine conflict zone. Kadyrov, known for extravagant publicity stunts, heaped praise on both the vehicle and Tesla Motors chief executive Elon Musk on the Telegram messaging app, calling him the strongest genius of modern times. All right, let's go across live now. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting Israeli President Isaac Herzog during his visit to Israel. All right, so U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting Israeli President Isaac Herzog during his visit to Israel. This is a trip aimed at intensifying diplomatic pressure to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza that will end the month-long bloodshed between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas. All right, so we are getting you these visuals. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting Israeli President Isaac Herzog during his visit to Israel. So these are the live visuals. Antony Blinken meeting Israeli President Isaac Herzog, and Blinken is in Israel. And this trip is aimed at intensifying diplomatic pressure to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza and likely to end the month-long bloodshed between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas.
On behalf of this noble cause, there is no greater humanitarian objective and there's no greater humanitarian cause than bringing back our hostages home as they should have returned long ago. We want to see them back home as soon as possible. There's no greater prayer and there's no greater hope and no greater effort. Turn everything possible to bring them back home. And it is, in fact, the top agenda of world affairs these days, as projected by Security Council resolution, which you, Mr. Secretary, have brought forward and passed in a historic step, as well as, of course, the conclusions of all the leadership of the world in the G7 on this issue. So let's try our best and all our efforts to bring them back home alongside with protecting Israeli security interests. And finally, Mr. Secretary, I want to thank the President of the United States of America, my good friend, President Joe Biden, the administration, the leadership of the United States for supporting Israel in these very dire and complicated times. You've amassed a very powerful and impressive coalition of armies, navies, and powers that are here to protect the interests of the coalition of nations that wants to move towards peace and a better future in the Middle East against the empire of evil which starts and emanates in Tehran. I want to thank you personally, and I want to thank the President for showing and projecting power in this region, as the message should be clear that no one should attack Israel or meddle with our clear inherent right of self-defense. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much. It's always good to be with you and good to be back in Israel. This is my 9th visit since October 7th to Israel, to the Middle East. And this is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire, and to put everyone on a better path to enduring peace and security. I'm here as part of an intensive diplomatic effort on President Biden's instructions to try to get this agreement to the line and ultimately over the line. It is time for it to get done. It's also time to make sure that no one takes any steps that could derail this process. And so we're working to make sure that there is no escalation, that there are no provocations, that there are no actions that in any way could move us away from getting this deal over the line, or, for that matter, escalating the conflict to other places and to greater intensity. I know this is a fraught moment in Israel, with deep concern about the possibility of attacks coming from Iran, coming from Hezbollah, and other sources. And as you heard the President say, the United States has taken decisive action to deploy forces here to deter any attacks, and if necessary, to defend against any attacks. But the focus of my visit is intensely on getting the hostages back, getting the ceasefire done. It is time for everyone to get to yes and to not look for any excuses to say no. I look forward to the day ahead, seeing the Prime Minister, Defense Minister, other senior officials, but as always, a pleasure to start the day with you. And let me say finally that we mourn the losses that the President has just shared over the last 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, so we were getting you these live visuals. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting Israeli President Isaac Herzog. During his visit to Israel, Herzog thanked Antony Blinken for making the effort to achieve a ceasefire deal. Thanked for showing and projecting power, he said. And Antony Blinken also said that this is my 9th visit and this is a decisive moment to get hostages home and to get ceasefire for peace and security. He also said that this is the time to make sure that no one takes any steps, making sure there are no escalations. So this was primarily the gist of what they said, and we'll have a detailed story in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on to our next story now. Days after the Kolkata High Court expressing displeasure over the handling of the case relating to the alleged rape and murder of a junior doctor at the R.G. Kar Medical College in Kolkata, transferred the probe to the CBI. The Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance of the August 9 incident. Three-judge bench presided by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud will hear the matter on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the resident doctors of All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi said that their strike would continue. The doctors decided to provide free elective OPD services of around 36 specialties to patients outside Nirman Bhavan. And over 500,000 pilgrims have visited the holy Amarnath shrine this year to pay obeisance to Lord Shiva at the 3,880-meter high cave shrine located in the Anantnag district of India's Jammu and Kashmir. The pilgrimage was suspended on the Baltal route following heavy rains on Sunday. With this, the Yatra stands suspended on both routes. The Amarnath pilgrimage commences on 29th of June and 43-day pilgrimage concludes on Monday, August 19. The Amarnath Yatra attracts lakhs of pilgrims every year who visit the site during the months of July to August, coinciding with the Shravan month of Hindu calendar. It is the only time in the whole year when the Amarnath cave is accessible. And the India Met Department have issued an orange alert for Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand. The authorities have also predicted heavy rainfall over Jammu, Marathwada, coastal Andhra Pradesh and Yanam on Monday. Squally weather with wind speed reaching 35 km per hour to 45 km per hour. Gust is likely to prevail many parts of east central and southeast Arabian Sea along and off Karnataka Kerala coast. Meanwhile, hilly regions of India like Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand to witness fairly widespread to moderate rainfall during the week. And markets in India are bustling with Rakshabandhan festivities. Kriti Vadera explores the latest trends in Rakis and the sweets that add a dash of flavor to this celebration of sibling love.
The festival of Rakshabandhan is synonymous with the bond of protection and love between brothers and sisters. This year, the markets are brimming with innovative and delightful options for shopping that cater to every taste and style. From traditional to contemporary, there's something for everyone. Handcrafted Rakhis with intricate designs studded with pearls and gemstones continue to be a favorite among those who cherish tradition. Meanwhile, eco-friendly Rakhis made from organic materials like seeds and clay are gaining popularity, allowing you to celebrate sustainably.
We have a tradition to tie Rakhi to Lord Krishna also, so I have purchased one for him also. And besides this, I'll be buying some gifts for my brothers.
It has an emotional relevance because we want to celebrate the bond and togetherness we have with our brothers and sisters, with our siblings. So it's definitely special, and it also gives us, as sisters, a very good way to get some cash out of their pockets. So yeah, it's a special day.
Rakshabandhan is incomplete without indulging in some mouth-watering delicacies. Traditional sweets like laddus, barfis and kaju katli remain evergreen choices. However, this year sweet shops are introducing exciting new varieties to tempt your taste buds. There's also a rise in demand for healthy alternatives like sugar-free mithais and gluten-free sweets, ensuring everyone can enjoy the festive treats guilt-free. Special gift items in dry fruits and healthy snacks is in much demand.
Right now, flavor of the market is dry fruit. People are being diet conscious these days, for we have made special gifts of dry fruits and berries.
Women eagerly applying henna on their hands during Rakshabandhans is a cherished tradition filled with joy. The detailed patterns add an elegant touch to their festive look, reflecting excitement for the celebration.
I like Rakshabandhan because I like to put mehndi on my hands.
As families flock to the markets, there's a palpable excitement in the air. Vendors are pulling out all the stops to showcase their best offerings, and customers are enjoying the myriad of choices available.
With unique Rakhi designs and special gifts to choose from, this year's Rakshabandhan will sure to be a memorable one. Whether you choose anything traditional touch or maybe new or exciting, the market has it all. With camera person Shiv Suman, I am Kriti Vadhera reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And on the auspicious festival of Rakshabandhan, which celebrates the precious bond between siblings, locals in the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir tied Rakhis and offered sweets to army personnel stationed in Soni village along the line of control in Uri sector. And on the auspicious occasion of Rakshabandhan, President of India Draupadi Murmu also extended her greetings, cherishing the bond between sister and brother. In a post on social media platform X, President wrote, and I quote her, "On the auspicious occasion of Rakshabandhan, I extend my heartfelt greetings and best wishes to all the countrymen. This festival, based on the feeling of love and mutual trust between brothers and sisters, instills a feeling of affection and respect towards all sisters and daughters. On this festival day, I urge all countrymen to take a pledge to ensure the safety and respect of women in our society." And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings on the occasion of Rakshabandhan. In a post on social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote, and I quote him, "Best wishes to all countrymen on the occasion of Rakshabandhan, a festival symbolizing the immense love between brothers and sisters. May this holy festival bring new sweetness in the relationships of all of you and happiness, prosperity and good fortune in life." Unquote. All right, we'll go across to DD India's Kriti Vadhera. She is joining us live from Delhi. Kriti, you are in the national capital. People must be lining up at the shops to buy sweets and Rakhis.
Oh, well, good morning, Abhishek. And yes, I am standing at the heart of New Delhi, which is the central part of the Delhi. And it's a very, very popular market. And since morning, we have been witnessing that people have been coming to these sweet shops and gift shops to buy, special gifts for their loved ones on this auspicious occasion of Rakshabandhan. And yes, many different sorts of sweets and Rakhis were available in market for this festive season. And when we talk talk about special Rakhis, so there's a very special Rakhi which I would like to show to all the DD India viewers and to you also. I request my camera person to please zoom in. These are the special floral Rakhis, Abhishek, and see, we are talking about sustainability in terms of festivals. So these are the floral Rakhis which are available in market, and people are actually liking it and buying them for their brothers. Rakhi being the festival of love and joy, and a festival where the sibling affection is quite visible. Sisters tie this talisman, a thread of love and affection, on their brother's wrist, and as a reciprocation, the brothers are gifting them back with good gifts, and sense of protection is given to the sisters throughout the nation who will be tying this talisman, the special thread of Rakhi on their brothers' hands. So this is how the enthusiasm of the Rakshabandhan festival is being visible on the streets of New Delhi today.
Kriti, also before we leave you, tell us, I mean, you have already told us the rituals that are followed in the festival. For the benefit of the viewers, tell us the significance and importance of this festival.
Well, Abhishek, when I talk about Rakshabandhan as a festival, so in Hinduism, if I go back to the Hindu scriptures, the mythological rich stories, so the period of Mahabharata also reminds me of this festival when Draupadi tried this auspicious thread on Lord Krishna's wrist. So in India, people have this tradition of tying the first Rakhi of the day to Lord Krishna, being the protector of the world. And likewise, there are several stories related to this festival which reflect the importance and significance of love and affection among siblings of Rakshabandhan. And this festival is all in all associated with auspicious time of the year, which is Shravan Mas again. And today it is the full moon night, if I talk about the actual auspicious time according to the Hindu Panchanga. So today the Rakshabandhan festival will be after 1:30 p.m. as per the Hindu calendar. So these are several things which are which make this festival culturally rich when we talk about Rakshabandhan as a festival. And yes, of course, the enthusiasm is at its peak. Sisters are all set to tie this auspicious thread on their brother's wrist.
All right, Kriti, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. Locals in the native village of India origin US astronaut Sunita Williams prayed and performed Hindu rituals on Sunday for her safe return. Residents of Jhulasan village in the western state, Gujarat, gathered at a temple dedicated to Hindu god of destruction Shiva. They chanted hymns as they performed yagna, a Hindu fire ritual for Williams. The Hindu holy month of Sawan, which is observed in India, concludes on Monday. It is coinciding with the festival of Rakshabandhan, which celebrates the bond of brother and sister. Devotees across India are visiting Lord Shiva's temples to offer prayers and seek blessings on the last Monday of Sawan. Observing the auspicious festival of Rakshabandhan and the conclusion of Hindu holy month of Sawan, renowned Indian sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik created sand art at the Puri beach, which is located in the eastern Indian state of Odisha. Time now for some business updates. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is set to convene a crucial review meeting on Monday to assess the performance of public sector banks and regional rural banks. This meeting aims to evaluate key financial metrics and the effectiveness of various government schemes, ensuring that these financial institutions are aligned with the economic goals. Finance Minister, along with other participants, will review deposit growth, the credit to deposit ratio and asset quality, which are vital indicators of the bank's health. The meeting will also cover initiatives for micro, small and medium enterprises, performance under government schemes, recent interventions and any pending issues that require attention. Sports updates now. We'll start with Cincinnati Open. Holger Rune ends Jack Draper's run in the quarterfinals and becomes first Danish player in ATP Tour to reach semi-finals. In the first ever meeting on the tour, the Dane defeated the British #1 in straight sets. during the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. Holger Rune dominated the match as he won 6-4, 6-2 after taking his chance on the only break point of the first set, which put him 3-2 up. The match went on for an hour and 16 minutes, making it Rune's shortest match at Cincinnati Open 2024. Rune will face Francis Tiafoe in the semi-final to secure a spot in the finals. And in women's singles, Aryna Sabalenka beat world number 1 Iga Swiatek for the first time this season to secure a spot in the Cincinnati Open finals. The pair had met twice before in 2024, but Sabalenka had lost both. This match was the first time Sabalenka beat Swiatek in straight sets, finally getting the best of her rival 6-3, 6-3. Sabalenka, who is in her first Cincinnati Open final, said she feels she had finally broken the wall. Sabalenka is now set to lock horns with Jessica Pegula in Monday's final, who defeated Spain's Paula Badosa 6-2, 3-6, 6-3 in the other semi-final. Tennis to football now. Reigning Premier League champions Manchester City began their campaign with a win against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. On Sunday, Erling Haaland, who made his 100th appearance for Manchester City, opened the scoring with 18th-minute goal. In the second half, Chelsea tried to fight back when Nicholas Jackson received a deflected ball from Manchester City's goalkeeper. However, the Senegal forward was found to be offside. When Chelsea failed to fight back, Mateo Kovacic sealed the deal for Manchester City as he scored another goal for the team in 84th minute. Cricket now. Australia is set to host a one-off test in 2027 against England at the Melbourne Cricket Ground to mark 150 years of Test cricket. Australia won the single innings timeless match played between March 15 and 19 by 45 runs before England won the second match at the same venue to tie the series 1-1. In 1977, the 100-year anniversary of the inaugural Test was also observed with a test between Australia and England at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, with Australia winning the match again by 45 runs. Talking about hundreds now, Oval Invincibles defeat Southern Brave in the final to clinch the 100 title for the second consecutive year. Invincibles became the first men's side to win the 100 back-to-back after they beat Brave convincingly by 17 runs. Brave started the chase strongly but then collapsed from 58 for no loss to 102 for 7 thanks to Adam Zampa's initial breakthrough and Saqib Mahmood's 3 wickets in 7 deliveries. Will Jacks put on a crucial all-round performance as he scored a 22-ball 37 and took the key wicket of Brave skipper Jamal Mills led the Braves attack, taking 3 for 33. And before we end, Colombians parade on beds on the World Day of Laziness. This event marks the closing day of an annual festival that has been held since 1985. The event reflects a playful spirit and serves as a reminder to take a break from the stress of everyday life. Over the years, the festival has grown in popularity, drawing crowds who come to lay back and channelize the spirit of laziness. Alright, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.